Hello and welcome to Mission Nonprofit. I'm your host, Robert Cam. On Mission Nonprofit, we feature a local nonprofit organization from Thurston County each month, and this month we have Sidewalk, an organization dedicated to helping the homeless. And with me to talk about Sidewalk is Phil Owen, who's the program director, and Brenda Hatcher, she's the volunteer advocate, and Cheryl Selby, who's a board member. Welcome, guys. So
Thanks.
We're here to talk about your organization. Let's start off with what started the organization. How did Sidewalk get its start?
This had been a hole in the system for quite a while. No centralized agency providing services for homeless adults. We have in this community Family Support Center that works with families with kids, community youth services with homeless youth, and the single adult population, which makes up the majority of the homeless in Thurston County, was actually lacking a central agency to work with. So a few years back, the city of Olympia had some funding available to try and do something to turn the tide on homelessness, and I approached folks at Interfaith Works about putting something together. We put together an application and got ourselves started.
And so Interfaith Works, is that where you guys are housed, or you're housed at a house that's owned by the church? The United Methodist, is that which one it is?
Yes, the First United Methodist Church actually rents the house to us at $500 a year.
Nice.
It's a fantastic deal. Yeah.
Good.
And we currently operate as a program of Interfaith Works, but have obtained their blessing to move forward and incorporate. So our state incorporation papers, I believe, have gone in this week, and we're getting started on our process for the IRS application for nonprofit status.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And Interfaith Works, isn't that like a group that's all of the local churches are a part of? Is that?
A lot of them, yeah.
Yeah.
They're an association of faith communities and their members. Yeah.
All right. Mm-hmm. And so you have this house, and it's over by the Capitol area. Is that where the house?
Legion?
Legion. East, sort of into just a little bit into the east side neighborhood,
Okay.
just up from downtown.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, but your objective is to find housing for homeless people that are on the streets. Mm-hmm. And so we call that emergency housing, or what is the term we use that?
We call it rapid rehousing.
Rapid
is
rehousing.
The bulk of the work
Yes.
that we do. And what that does is it takes a very small amount of short-term rental assistance, matches it up with case management for follow-up support to move someone into housing and get them settled and stable and moving forward with their lives.
Okay.
Yeah.
And most of this is volunteer driven, right?
All of the direct client services are done by volunteers.
So direct client services, meaning like actually working with a homeless person and getting them on their feet. And Brenda, you are in charge of some of the volunteers and coaching them.
Right. My job title is team lead, and we have Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and I'm the Wednesday team lead. And in that role, what I do is I sort of am there for overall assistance. So if I have homeless people come in and they have problems that our greeters, who are the first people who come in and welcome them, if they have a person and they're not really sure if they would work with us and they have questions, then I'll sit down with that individual and work out whatever it is that they're there for. And if it's something we can help them with, then we'll get them an appointment to see an advocate. If it's something that we can't help with, we have many resources for the community that we can give them, at least so if they come in, they walk away with something.
And so you can refer them to other organizations that can help them if they fit better there.
Right.
But I would imagine that you've got to be selective because you want them to be successful getting off of the streets.
Right.
And so there might be some people you turn away, but you know,
in order for us to be able to help them, they have to have some kind of income that allows them to pay rent once they get in housing. So that could be a Social Security stipend, mm-hmm. that could be unemployment. If they're on unemployment for a period of time and they've lost their housing because of unemployment, we get them in. There are funds that help a person sort of make it until the Social Security has kicked in, which is about $200 a month, which isn't much. So then what we can do is we can work with them and try to get them housed so that once Social Security kicks in, then they're able to pay their rent. So that's the first thing we have to determine, is that the person will, once we get them into housing, can maintain that housing.
Okay.
The really impressive thing about rapid rehousing is it actually works effectively with 80 to 90% of the homeless population. So we do have to be selective about who we take for rapid rehousing, but what that means actually is we're still talking about the vast majority of people who are coming in our door. The other folks who can't be effectively served with rapid rehousing make up 10 to 20% of the homeless population, are more outliers or sort of extreme cases with severe mental illness or severe chemical dependency problems. And we don't turn them away. What we actually have partnerships like with the Drexel House and some other housing providers where we can put them on the waiting list for housing that's longer term, more supportive, more intensive, that would actually meet their needs more effectively than rapid rehousing. So our goal is to serve everyone effectively.
Does some of this help include contacting family members and things like that? I'm just kind of imagining, what would you do if I was trying to help out a homeless or a homeless person? What would I do? And I guess one of them is to try and get them an income, try and get them a job and stuff. But is that one of the options? Is actually calling relatives and stuff?
That's one of the questions we ask when they come in. Is one of the first questions is, do you have any assistance from family? And where are you living? Where are you spending the night? Because a person may be living at home and their parents have had it with their living at home, but they're really not literally homeless at that point. Mm-hmm. You know, if every family who had a child who they were ready to move out sent them over to Sidewalk, we wouldn't have enough time, you know, for the people who are actually living on the street. So that's the first thing we say is, you know, as long as you have the support of your family and you have a place to live, then there are many other people who have our need for our services more than you do. Gotcha. So that's kind of where are you in your housing? If you are living out of your car and you've been living out of your car, maybe you buy a motel room, you know, for a few days once a month, you're homeless. Okay. Yeah, that's a whole different thing. Or if you're in a shelter, the men's shelter or the women's shelter or Salvation Army, and you're trying to get on your feet, and maybe you've gotten your Social Security, but you know, $700 a month does not buy much of an apartment, and it doesn't pay for your first month's rent. And that's where rapid rehousing comes in.
Most of the homeless actually have really strong family connections, but their family members are poor and don't have the resources to help them get moved back to housing. And so that's really a lot of where we come in, is to help fill some of that void in terms of the financial resource. Because, you know, anybody who's raised kids into adulthood knows that nobody is financially independent at 18, right? And most of us will have some kind of financial crisis throughout our lives. And there's a certain, like, you know, keeping a savings and other buffers that help prevent us from becoming homeless. Or we have family members who have resource who we can fall back on for a loan. That kind of thing is really common for people in their 20s to call home and say, Mom, I'm late on rent. Can I get a hand, right? Yeah. And the thing about some people don't have family that has those kinds of financial resources to fall back on. So if we can offer just a little bit of assistance like a family member would, that helps them get their foot in the door back into housing. Their family provides some of the social kinds of supports. And then our volunteers provide follow-up support around budgeting and building that savings that prevents the next episode of homelessness.
Let's talk a little bit about how much money you have to help these, help out with the rapid rehousing. And Cheryl, you help out with the fundraising and maybe the paperwork.
We're like a founding board is what I would consider us now. It's kind of an advisory committee / board as Sidewalk launches off into its own nonprofit status. So the goal is somewhat administrative, but as well as fund development. And I can bring that perspective of the private sector and some of the connections that I've made in the community over the years to increase their capacity to, you know, get more people into homes. Yeah. So it's been great.
But you guys do at some point give financial assistance, but it's not much. Am I correct? What can you provide?
It averages $1,200 a person altogether.
For a year?
$1,200 total that can be spread out for up to a year. But the average cost per person to resolve homelessness right now is about $1,200.
Okay, so you take $1,200 and you use it the best you can to get them into a situation where, you know, they have a roof over their heads. And some of that needs, you need to hook them up with roommates and stuff. So that's one of the things you do. Talk a little bit about that process. How are you able to effectively, you know, set them up with the right person?
Honestly, our clients find housing themselves. As soon as they know that that little bit of assistance is available, they get real motivated real quick. And Brenda, tell me if I'm wrong on this. Like, oftentimes the clients found something before we got the paperwork done.
Right.
Yeah.
You say, you help people find homes. Well, that's really not as accurate as we help people get into homes, because the finding of the apartment sometimes is a really big challenge. And I've had clients before it's taken them a month to be able to find a place that they can afford, or that another person and them can afford to move into, or is in the right part of town. Some people, they have to be on a bus line and they need to be close to services. So I might find a great apartment. There might be, Craigslist has this wonderful apartment way out, in Lacey in the, back in the residential area. But if you have no car and no way to get anywhere, that's not going to work for you. So finding the apartment is a huge hurdle. And it's, we sit down with them, we put them on computers, we kind of counsel them as far as, you want to get something you can afford. Please, I know it's tempting to get the really nice one that costs a lot of money, but the thing is, you want to sustain this. In order to sustain it, you need to look at, the bare basics of what you can afford, and this is just a starting point. So this is where you can begin to get into housing, and then don't let go of your dreams to get something better. But right now, let's get you off the street. So that's kind of how that process works.
And this is all done. Oh, did you have something to add, Cheryl?
Would this be a good time to talk about our retention rate with people that you've gotten
We're
into
doing pretty
homes?
well. Yeah, less than 10% of the people we serve are falling back into homelessness.
Oh.
So
Impressive.
it's working. Yeah.
I bet you guys have tons of sad tales that you hear, or at least your advocates do. Mm-hmm. And I bet it's heart-wrenching.
It is. It's when I go in on Wednesdays, we're with clients for 4 hours. And during that 4-hour period, the people we talk to have serious problems. I mean, it's like their problems have to do with their mental health. They have to do with loss. Whether it's a family member who died, and then once the family member died, they lost their benefits. And so all of a sudden, not only did they lose their family member, but they also lost their home. So it's like their money went with the death, and they're just stranded. But everybody comes in has a serious situation. And so for 4 hours, that's what we do. We work with people in their serious life circumstance, and we do whatever we can to help them resolve problems. And I want to also emphasize that we help them solve problems. That really our job as advocates are to help the individual do what they want to do. So if I have a person who comes in and they have serious mental illness problems, they have serious long-term homelessness, I can't really change that for them. They have to be ready to make that change for themselves. I'm not there as their life-changing counselor. I'm there to assist in any way I can, and some people literally are not ready.
The thing though is we don't have to actually accomplish those kinds of changes for someone to get into housing, right? For someone who comes in with severe mental illness, we get them on a waiting list like for the Drexel House, and try and tie in with the mental health system as they're moving in later down. Yeah, Drexel House is a project of Catholic Community Services, and they offer longer-term supportive housing. And it's a little more intensive than what we offer in our rapid rehousing program. So if a client's not, like Brenda described, is not a good candidate for rapid rehousing, we have some other options to look at. They take a little longer right now. But the thing is you got to imagine everything that we get out of a home, the kind of stability and peace of mind and readiness to face the day. If you think about a hot shower in the morning and your coffee pot and how that gets you ready to get up and moving for your day, offering that first before we start to tackle a lot of the other challenges around mental health or finding a job or getting drug treatment, that housing piece is the key first step. And so it's a struggle for some of our folks who have the more serious mental illness because the waiting lists are long right now. But we're working to tackle that. And if we can get them into housing first, then there's a lot of opportunity for additional, like for the mental health services to be able to do their job really well.
I just wanted to mention the website. We're going to take a little break, but I wanted people out there to know where they can find more information about you, and that is at www.walkthurston.org. So they can go there, and if people are if they're homeless themselves, then they could contact you. If they want to volunteer as an advocate, they could give you guys a call, or if they want to financially help you guys out, right? You need that.
Absolutely.
Donate. So let's just take a little break, and we'll be back and talk more about Sidewalk.
Show off, come and make all your dreams come true. Showing off the things you do, let the star in you shine through.
Preliminary judging is April 5th from 10 to 5 p.m. at the Minert Center for the Arts at South Puget Sound Community College. Register by calling 956-3100 or online at tctv.net. Walk-ins also welcome.
Show off!
Welcome back to Mission Nonprofit. If you're just joining us, our guest this month is Sidewalk, a local nonprofit organization to help fight homelessness here in Thurston County. And with me to talk about Sidewalk is Phil Owen, Brenda Hatcher, and Cheryl Selby. So, welcome back to the program. And what were we talking about when we left off? Where were we? We were talking about
We were talking a lot about rapid rehousing.
rapid rehousing and how effective it is to get people back into
Success stories.
Yeah. So first off, we actually, last year, Sidewalk's volunteers helped 128 people to escape homelessness using that rapid rehousing approach. And out of those 128 people, about 90% staying in housing, staying stable. It's really successful. And the way that works, we place folks out into the private market, provide a very small amount of short-term rental assistance. So we're working with landlords out in the private market to make that happen.
And you're also trying to get people employed or get Social Security or get disability benefits. And what else? What are the other options for income for these people?
There's disability benefits. And there's employment, and those are really the two key things. And they're not necessarily mutually exclusive either. If we have somebody who's on a fixed income, a lot of people like to be able to supplement their income with some part-time work, which Social Security allows. We really like to see people out working and the kind of fulfillment that offers, as well as, you know, if you're on Social Security benefits, if you can make an extra $300 or $400 a month, that does huge things for stability, because that's actually an improvement. That's like a 50% growth in a person's income.
And then DSHS, is that also something that you refer them to? Department of
DSHS has a disability program, but basically in order to get public assistance, if you're a single adult or a childless adult, in order to get public assistance, you have to be disabled.
Okay, so, but do you ever have people come to you that have children, or is that a different organization altogether?
Family Support Center.
Okay, so if that happens, if somebody comes up to you, they have children, you send them to Family Support Center, and they probably have better opportunities.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we are talking about single adults. Okay.
There's like, what do you say, there's 3 different pipelines. There's CYS for children 16-ish to 24.
Right.
To enter the system, kind of a coordinated entry approach, and then Family Support Services is for women with children, and then Sidewalk would be the single adult population that needs help.
So there's also, everybody that are working with these homeless individuals are volunteers. And so what does it take to find the right person for that job? And you know, what's the training involved?
So our volunteers are awesome. This is, I think, the coolest thing about Sidewalk. Our clients actually say it's the coolest thing about Sidewalk too. When if you interview a client or talk to a client about what their experience was, they won't talk about that rental assistance was so awesome. They say, my advocate was so supportive, so amazing, and I really appreciate that somebody would volunteer their time to support me, right? So volunteers put in usually about 8 hours a week on a regularly scheduled shift once a week. And before they get started, go through pretty intensive training. We do about 50 hours of training, including some of that's on the job. And so volunteers actually don't have to have any prior experience or skills coming in. We provide all of that training for them to get started.
What is the training like? What kind of things do you talk about?
We do Yeah, we do a lot of focus on reflective listening. It's really, really important to us that our clients really get to dictate their own path and what services that they want to be stable. We find for a few reasons. One is that from mental health services to housing to all over the social service system, we're finding that when clients have real choice, their outcomes improve significantly. If you think about this makes sense too, right? Somebody else spends a lot of time telling me what to do with my life, not going to be as high an impact as if they listen really well and ask me the right questions to have me develop my own plan, right? So a lot of our training is focused around reflective listening and asking really tough, really sharp questions that have people really think through their plans, develop really effective plans that they're likely to follow through with. That's the focus of it.
Let's go back over your hours of operation. Your guys are located in a house that you got a really great deal from United Methodist, First United Methodist Church, and then you're open Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and 4 hours a day. What are the hours?
10 to 2.
10 to 2 Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
So our advocates usually come in between 9 and 9:30. And then we have a meeting for about 30 minutes where we catch up on what's going on with other days and what changes have been made or whatever. And then starting at 10, then we start having scheduled appointments. And we have, the other piece about volunteering is that it's variable depending on what a person feels comfortable with. So we have people who work directly with clients and work with rapid rehousing and go through them. Was quite a bit of paperwork for us to get through to sort of determine their backgrounds, their existing income, their future income. So there's quite a bit of paperwork. So we have advocates that work directly with clients to get that piece done. Once that rapid rehousing funds have been approved, then those people go into post-housing or they've been housed, so housed individual. And then we have different advocates that then take those clients then forward, call them up, check and see how things are going. If they say a roommate moves out and all of a sudden their housing is jeopardized, well then we have an advocate that can kind of hook them up maybe with other people who are also looking for housing. So that piece of it is helpful in the stability after they've been housed. Then when we have a whole other group of people who greet, people walk in, they give them coffee, they give them something to eat, and it's just, that's, I think, kind of the heart of Sidewalk is that greeting and that welcome. We have some, we call them frequent flyers, people who just come in and it's a place for them to be each day. And they just come in and they say hello and they wander around and they visit with the various people that they've gotten to know and then they wander off. But it's a happy place. It's a positive atmosphere.
Good. And so the money, it comes from the document fees. Help me out here. What was that called?
Yes, the document fees that are now, at risk of being. There's some energy up at the Hill to sunset that whole document fee program, and that's very, very frightening for an organization like Sidewalk because we rely so heavily on that kind of funding. So,
what are document fees exactly?
Say you buy a piece of property or any purchase and sale agreements, it's a $40 fee. Often when you're signing those closing papers, that $40 just disappears, but it means so much. I mean, you think about $1,200 it would take to get somebody into a home, and I think if the public really understood that fee is at risk of being taken away, that we'd have a lot more people advocating to keep it in there because it's something you don't really miss.
So the thing that's happening at the Capitol right now is there's advocates trying to get rid of the fees,
right?
And those fees go to help end homelessness.
Yes.
Okay. Well,
yes.
We better.
Millions of dollars across the state that would go away. So it's very, very crucial.
Homelessness statewide has declined by 29% since the recording fees were instituted in 2005.
Fees, yeah.
And those fees have made a tremendous impact statewide to reduce homelessness. People often have this skepticism, and when we go out and talk about homelessness, they think that it's intractable, insurmountable, too big to beat. And the truth is that in our state, it's down by almost a third since 2005, in spite of the biggest recession in generations. Right? We are making an impact, and so those document recording fees support that work.
What are the other ways that you guys get funding other than that?
A couple of the programs that we're instituting with this new board is a house party program where you can put together kind of as low key or as, high level of event you want to put together and just have people at your home. And we can have one of our advocates come speak, or maybe a client or someone from the board can help facilitate that. And you can invite your friends in and we can tell our story. It's a fun story to tell. You don't often get that opportunity with this subject matter, but it's a positive thing. And so for $1,200, you could, again, get somebody off of or into a wonderful place where they can be safe, warm, and dry. And that's easy to do. You get 20 people in a room, you can come up with $1,200 really quickly. So.
Okay, so you've got parties, you've got the document filing fees. Are there other benefactors that donate to the organization?
We had
that choral group. What was the choral?
Yeah, we had a wonderful, the Olympia
Yes,
Choral
that was
Society
great.
did a great round of concerts that benefited Sidewalk last
nice.
winter and raised some money, and it was a really good time. Yeah, and so we've been around a couple of years now, and particularly among the faith communities that helped us to get launched and among our volunteer base, have a pretty good growing, fairly loyal base of support in terms of donors. Looking to grow that now with the house parties, our annual events. We've been reaching out a lot to the business community. Cheryl actually helped connect us up with the Chamber of Commerce. And those folks, the members of their board, David, their CEO, really fantastic at helping to start promote support for our work. Yeah.
Well,
Chamber, which it's a nice public-private partnership that you don't see a lot of times with social service agencies. So to be able to get our story in front of the private sector, it was very powerful. And people just really engaged quickly with the idea because it is kind of an efficiency model, and when you're a business owner, efficiencies of scale and outcomes, that you can quantify are pretty strong. Yeah, strong appeal to business owners. So.
Well, it's an inspiring tale. I just want to mention the website again, which is www.walkthurston.org. And people can go there if they want to be an advocate, if they are homeless, or if they know somebody that's homeless, or if they can help out, contribute by having one of those house parties, or actually just giving a donation. So go to that website if you can do all that. We have to wrap it up, but is there anything that we didn't talk about that we need to cover? Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I have a thought.
Okay.
When we talk about homelessness, people have a hard time getting a handle on it. And so I want you to think about the people downtown who are wandering around with their belongings. Think about the people who may be out in the woods that maybe you live near. People find places and hovels to live in when they have no place to go. And for our community, a lot of times it's a frightening thing that you have woods behind you and you know that people are living back there because you don't know what's going on back there. There's no garbage service, there's no toilets, all that is going to be back there. So when we talk about homelessness, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the people who literally are out there behind the freeway barriers, the people who are wandering the streets around the Mission, the people who are basically not finding places.
71% of our rapid rehousing clients were unsheltered when we moved them to housing. So we went going straight from the woods to housing. Yeah. So really, there's a big impact that we can make.
Well, we all thank you from Thurston County. Thanks for your work. And we do have to wrap this episode up, but thanks for watching Mission Nonprofit, and we'll see you next time. If you know of a local nonprofit that's making a difference in our area, give us a call at 956-3100 extension 103 or send an email to rkam@tctv.net.